Colorado is now in the Big 12, the toughest league in college basketball, and man, did they lose a lot of fun talent from last year. One of my favorite teams to watch last year, a team that if Cody Williams wanted to hit a shot, could have made the Final Four as far as I'm concerned. They had a path, and that was a really fun team. I think Tristan DeSilva is going to have a great NBA career as well. So Christian here with Nick. We're here with Ryland Scholes of Ralphie Report, Colorado expert. So Ryland, thanks for joining us, and tell us about, what to expect this Colorado team that, kind of got all its talent fleeced from last year.
Yeah, so your top 6 rotation players are gone, essentially. You have all 5 of your starters and your 6 men have gone elsewhere. So this is a completely new team heading into, like you said, the hardest league in all of college basketball. Like, this isn't the Pac-12 anymore where you're going up against like Oregon and Washington State and stuff. You got to play teams like Kansas and Kansas State and Iowa State and like Baylor week in, week out. So it could be a fun year. Like we have some fun transfers. We have Elijah Malone, who's coming in from I actually don't even remember where he's coming in from, but I know it's an NAIA school. 6'10" transfer, big guy, very lanky, very talented. And then we also have Trevor Baskin, who is 6'9" forward coming from CMU or Colorado Mesa. And he is also very talented, very lanky, very talented perimeter shooter. He kind of reminds me a lot of Tristan DeSilva, who we lost to the draft, got drafted by the Orlando Magic. I think this year obviously isn't going to go well necessarily record-wise, but it could be a fun year. There's some fun pieces on that roster, and most importantly, it's a developmental year for some of the younger guys from last year. We have some really talented like sophomores this year in Asan Jop and Bengot Dak, who looked really good last year. And if we know anything about Tad, it's that he's going to get those guys minutes and reps so they're ready to go and they're going to crush next year. It's kind of a bit of an experiment this year. Tad really doesn't like using the transfer portal at all. It's like a worst case scenario, and they had to use it this season. They had to use it last season with Eddie Lampkin as well. But it could be a fun year. I wouldn't say good. The use of fun is very intentional.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So, Tad's worst record, Colorado is very respectable, 16-18. The rest have all been winning seasons. They're projected 11-18 this season. So are you confident saying that this will likely be his worst record-wise season at Colorado?
Yeah, probably. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. And a lot of that isn't his fault. A lot of that is just you're having to play harder teams now. But yeah, and he has a long leash. They're not going to, people aren't going to freak out at him. People love Tad. Tad has done wonders for this basketball program, and he gets no money to work with essentially, and he makes the most out of it. So yeah, probably good assessment that this will be record-wise Tad's worst year.
For sure. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you talked about kind of like that transition. Just, I'd say the biggest difference from the Pac-12 and the Big 12 is just, there's no nights off. It's a complete gauntlet. So, besides from that, though, what would you say is like the biggest difference or the biggest challenge for Colorado in this transitional year?
Biggest challenge, I would say, is just making sure the talent develops like it needs to. You don't want to throw those guys in against these really good Big 12 teams and have their confidence just get immediately crushed, because we're going to be probably outclassed for most of these games, especially the conference ones. You've got to make sure that these guys get in there and that they don't just get basically owned all year long by better competition. That's my biggest concern I would say, with the team.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested in is, correct me if I'm wrong, Baskin and Malone, these guys are older, right? They're here for a year.
Yeah.
So, like, and Jakimovsky from Wazoo is an older guy too. So it's like,
I think
are these guys just kind of, they're just happy to have an opportunity to play a lot and they're 1-year rentals. It's not like I mean, let me try to ask this. The focus is on the young guys, but these older guys are coming in, and it's like, is there any chance that like Baskin and Malone are like legit D1 players, and like the young guys take a step up? Like, do you have any sense that that's on the table, or does it really just seem like those guys will be okay, and like we'll see what happens with the Dax and the Jobs of the world?
I think being okay is the worst case scenario. I think that there's a good chance that they're good. If you've watched the Elijah Malone tape and the Trevor Baskin tape, those are two really, really talented players, and they could really ball out. I mean, we don't know. I mean, they're playing against worse competition, and it's hard to kind of judge how that's going to transition to the Big 12. But there's absolutely a chance that these guys jump up to D1 and ball out. Just this year, the way the program is kind of structured is these guys are more supplemental. Like they're here to kind of pass the torch to the younger guys. The more foundational pieces are the guys that Tad recruits out of high school, and that's where most of the focus goes. But like there's certainly a chance that Malone and Yakumovsky and Baskin are really, really good players.
And then you've got all these freshmen. Who's the guy to watch? Who are you most excited about?
Sebastian Rancic, really good. I mean, so there's Andrew Crawford, Sebastian Rancic. Those guys are both really, really talented. I mean, I don't know how many reps they'll be getting this year because we still have guys like, Dak, and we have guys like, Julian Hammond, and we have, Hassan Job, Harrison Carrington too, who was just put on scholarship. I think that the priority will be more of developing Dak and Job, but Rancic, who he's coming from, I think, Canada. I could be wrong on that, but we need guard depth. That's really what we need bad. That's what this team probably lacks the most. So the younger guys are guards. The freshmen are guards. So that should be, an interesting thing to look at. See how many reps these guys get.
And I have listed on here as he's coming in. I haven't listed as a starter, but I'm not familiar with them. Is Andrew Crawford? Andrew
Crawford as well, yeah.
Where is he coming in from?
Let me make sure. I might be stupid. So he is coming in from – actually, he's from Colorado. He's from Thunder Ridge High School in Highlands Ranch. Okay. I believe he's a 3-star recruit. And he will get some reps this year, but he's probably not necessarily going to be a priority.
Okay, he is a freshman.
He is a freshman, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I just look at Ruffin and Hammond starting, I know Hammond missed time last year, and Ruffin is what he is. He did some nice things off the bench, but what a backcourt drop off from KJ Simpson is one of the best guards in the country. So that is what's most concerning to me. But what I loved about Colorado last year was, well, a lot was on KJ, right? He was kind of the only ball handler, especially when Hammond wasn't in there. But I just loved the way they played offense. And this is a lot of Tad Boyle teams, but it's like, whether it was Luke O'Brien or Lampkin or who went to Louisville? Who went? What's the
Hadley.
Yeah, Hadley. Those guys would all – it wasn't like pure Illinois Penn State booty ball, but it was like guys would back down. They're great at this is a small detail, but I've just noticed they're great at passing big to big. Like just pass block to block, like little bounce pass and stuff. Like they just take good shots. Like they get shots at the rim and they shoot efficiently from three. They don't take a ton of threes, but they were efficient from threes. They made all their free throws and they got a bunch of shots. Like I just liked the shot selection and the way they play together offensively. And I was always confused why that team and other Colorado teams, like, were so bad on the road in conference play. So that's why I'm like considering the talent drop off and there's a lot of unknowns, like I'm just concerned this team could be completely dreadful on the road and like not win it all, because it just seems like that's kind of been Tad's team's weaknesses with some much better teams. So that's my concern, is that with the lack of guard play and just his road record, that like it could be a train wreck on the road. But with some older guys, if you get some production from Basket and Malone, and some of these young guys take a step, like they could be frisky at home. Like they will be well coached, and that's for sure. But it's a really tough league, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on with that. I mean, if we know anything about Tad, it's we're going to get a fundamentally sound basketball team, even if the talent isn't necessarily up to snuff. We're going to get some Tad ball. They're going to be crashing the boards. They're going to be passing the ball. They're going to be taking good shots. Like, worst comes to worst, we're going to lose rock fights. But, you know, we'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting year.
My prediction for Colorado is it won't be pretty, but I think, though, I would exceed the expectations. I think they'll outperform the expectations just because of Tad, man. I think his floor is very respectable. Like I said, his worst season was 16 and 18 ever. And this roster is pretty dry on paper. So I think they out exceed expectations, to be honest.
And I'm gonna make a parallel, and I think it might just be because I'm seeing Jakomowski on this roster, but Washington State last year was on nobody's radar, right? And you know, they bring it. Jalen Wells comes from D2 level, and that's my guy. He gets drafted, and they had a lot of size, and they didn't play a sexy style of basketball, but they were strong and they were physical and they were big, and they found ways to win games. And I'm getting like a little bit of shades of that because of him. Like, I don't know. Just Colorado and Wazoo were a little similar with how they want to score the basketball and how they want to play. And like, this team has the size. And even though it might not be apples to apples with, you know, having guys like De Silva and Cody that can handle it at that size, and having O'Brien and Hadley and Lampkin who can score in the post and facilitate, and you know, that missing that KJ Simpson type guard is what's going to hold this team back. But who says that the forwards can't be, you know, playing in a similar vein and be more productive than expected? That is my optimistic take, that those guys can kind of continue that Tad ball. So there you go.
Yeah, I think, you know, ball handler wise, we had Julian Hammond. He showcased that he has what it takes to be a primary ball handler last year when KJ had to sit out a couple games because of injury. So on paper, this team could be good, but I in practice I don't think so.
Well, appreciate your time, Ryland. Appreciate your honesty. This is why we're going right to the source. You know, you've had a couple fans of the Colorado program, especially last year. I don't know. Now you follow me on Twitter, but last year I was yapping about them a lot. I was
a fun team last year.
What did you say?
I just said it was a fun team.
Yeah,
Very fun
team. It was a really good team, and I stand by what I said in the beginning, that, you know, a couple shots dropping in that Marquette game, that team could have totally beat NC State and Duke and made the Final Four. So
that was a heartbreaker. That one was tough.
But
we still have that game winner against Florida.
Yeah,
I think
that's what really matters. That'll be in highlight compilations for years to come.
That was a crazy game.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ryland. Good luck with everything this season, football, basketball-wise, and I know you got a lot to cover football-wise over in Colorado, but appreciate your time. And hey, maybe this team will you know, exceed expectations. Why not?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, man.